Assalamu alaikum and what's up everyone, and welcome back to another vlog. Today we're going to learn about how to edit photos like a pro, and we're going to be doing that in Lightroom and Photoshop. So, you ready? Let's jump right in. All right, looking at the laptop right now, we got a gray screen, and that's because we got nothing clicked. So we're gonna hit on the bottom left side, there's an import button. So we're gonna click the import button. And once we click that import button, we're gonna choose our source file, which in this case is gonna be on the desktop. Usually I do it on an external drive, but for today, just for the vlog, we're gonna do it on a desktop. Easier, quicker access. And here we go, how to edit. And we got all 4 photos, good deal. So we're gonna hit import. That's it, that's how you bring in your files. Now make sure you choose a file location. You have to know where you're gonna be sending your files to. So today we're gonna be editing 2 photos, but we got 4 files. I just wanna show you one without comparing. One that stays completely raw. Instead of showing you the before and after, I wanna show you just a completely raw file that stays raw. We could always just go back to it and play with it. And then one that we're gonna really edit and then take into Photoshop. All right, so let's start with the night photo. All right, this one is a fun photo. All right, so this was taken a few months back, and there's some fireworks involved. There's Burj Al Arab. This is in Dubai, obviously, and we're gonna take this from scratch. So as you can see here on the top left corner, I have the information on the about the photo. So this is an ARW file. Okay, I renamed it to 11. There's usually a longer number that I have specified for myself, but this is an ARW file, which means it's a raw file. All right, which means, now if you haven't seen my vlog on on RAW versus JPEG, you definitely want to check that out. It should be on the side somewhere over here. If not, just go to my profile and you should be able to find it. It's RAW versus JPEG. You don't want to miss that, so you can understand the difference and the benefits of shooting in RAW, capturing maximum data. All right, skipping to it. We're going to click on the top right corner in Lightroom. There's Library, Develop, Map, Book, Slide, Print, and Web. Now, this is not an entire tutorial on Lightroom, but it's a pretty basic tutorial that allows you to still edit like a pro without knowing all the features, which you're going to find out right now. So I'm going to click on Develop. When I click on the Develop tab, on the right-hand side, I get all the tools that I need. All right? So starting from the top. Now, the way I usually like to edit is I like to work my way down from tone curve on down, just to set up a foundation of how I want my photo to look. So in fact, let's do that. All right, this way you guys can learn my flow and take it from there. You guys can develop your own flow after that. So first we got the tone curves. So we got highlights, lights, darks, shadows. And what we want to do is we want to turn it into kind of like a little S. So we give it that S look, drop the darks, okay, drop it down a little bit more, scroll down after that. I skip all the colors because now I'm not focusing on the colors. I just want to set up my foundation. My highlights, it depends on if I want to bring out more of the warmer tones or more of the cooler tones. So at night, I tend to lean more towards the blue, but that could change. So we got a lot of nice colors here. If I bring up the saturation from the hue on the blue, it looks nice. All right, keep it at 15 for now. And then on the shadows, I am going to bring that up to 245 as well, which puts me right at the blue that I like. And we're gonna bump up the saturation on that as well. Now we're gonna come back and fix this, but this is just to get me going. Sharpening. I like a sharp photo for night photography. There's a lot of architecture usually when I'm shooting night photography, a lot of buildings, colors, so there's long exposures. In this case, there's fireworks going on. So I'm gonna bump up the sharpening to about 80%. All right, we could fix that again later on. My radius, I am going to hold my finger on Option, and then I'm gonna pull all the way up to about 2.5 to 2.7. I start seeing details coming up. All right, so again, that's if you're using a Mac, hold your finger on the Option key and then pull up and down on the radius to bring all those details out, especially the fireworks over there. Look how they're coming out right now. All right. Then going, sorry, let me put my phone on mute. Masking, that's another one. Hold your finger on the option key. I believe for Windows, it's Alt. So hold your finger on the option key. If you got a Mac, pull the masking up. I like to pull it till about, got some details there. So let's just say, you know what? We're gonna pull it up to 65, 70 right now. We're probably gonna drop that down later on, but I'll show you why we're doing that. And then my luminance, this is noise reduction. So sometimes there's noise depending on your ISO and depending on how you're shooting. So right now, what we're gonna do is we're going to pull the luminance under noise reduction to about 70 as well. All right, and bring up the details a little bit more. Contrast, we're gonna leave it the same. This is contrast under noise reduction. Color, right now I'm gonna bring up color, detail, and smoothness to 100. Again, these are things that I'm gonna come back to, but I like to set up a platform for how I wanna edit this photo. Lens correction, this is a very important one you don't wanna skip over. So you wanna remove chromatic aberration and you wanna enable profile correction. So this was shot with a 1635. Notice when I clicked enable, it automatically, the metadata just kicked right in. Sony FE 1635, this was shot with a 1635 G Master. It already has the data in there. And when you click lens correction, it adjusts the photo, makes things where they need to be. So you don't want to skip that one. It's a very, very important one. The transform tool, if we had structures, if we had buildings going up and down, this is something that I would definitely play a lot more with. But here we got Burj Al Arab, and for the most part, it looks pretty straight. But I'm going to click the auto button, see what it does. Didn't do much, so that means it looks like it's pretty straight for the most part. Cool. We're going to keep it the way it is. I like it. Now for the fun part. So we're going to scroll up top. Before we edit the exposure, contrast, highlights, and shadows, I still want to mess with the texture, the clarity. I want to bump some of that up, okay? And some dehaze. Not too much on the dehaze. All right, now I think we're ready for the magic button. You ready to see what that button is? You might laugh, but before you laugh, hear me out. On the right corner here, you see the auto button. I click auto, and the reason I click auto is I let Lightroom tell me what the formula is, what it thinks looks good, because there's obviously a built-in algorithm that works. It might not be perfect and it might not be to your liking, but at least it's a head start. So you click on the auto button, work your way back from there. Okay, so next. The exposure, in my opinion, is a little too high. So we're going to drop the exposure down. All right, photo's already looking, it's coming to life. I mean, if you look here between the fireworks, I'll show you the before and after. So we lost detail there. Now we got color. Look at that. We got colors. Now, coming back out, the contrast. Contrast is not my friend when it comes to architecture, long exposures. I tend to drop the contrast down so I could fill it in with other stuff. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute. All right, so we're going to drop that to -15, -15. Highlights may be a little too strong here, so we're going to try to drop them just to recover some of those overexposed fireworks on the bottom right over here. Okay, so we want to make sure that these are coming to life. And they are slowly but surely waiting for it to catch up. Okay, there it is. It's all caught up. And the blacks. So the blacks, depending on how your sky looks, is how you want to adjust your blacks. Now, in my case here, I may want to bring out the blacks a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're good there. So that's why I dropped the contrast. It gives me some room to fill it in on which way I want to go with the blacks. And vibrance. So vibrance, I'm gonna pump up a little bit more to about 25. Saturation, I'm gonna put it at +3. Contrast, I'm gonna drop it down to -30. So the photo's coming to life. It's looking pretty good. It's looking okay. You know, it still needs a little bit of work, a little bit more work at least. So what I might do now is I play with my white balance. So because this is a raw file, I have flexibility. I have a lot of flexibility. So I can either warm it up a little bit and see what that does with the colors. And if I bump it up a little bit more, let it catch up. And we'll put it at 5,000. There we go. All right, warmed it up a little bit. The tint, we'll bring it up to about +10. Now remember guys, this is all on your own personal preference. Whatever looks good to you, whatever you feel nice and confident with is what you go with. But it's good to know how to use the tools so you can develop your own style. And that's what we're doing here. All right, so getting back to it, the shadows we're gonna bump up a little bit more, okay? And we're okay on the blacks. I think we're okay on the blacks. Now, if I wanna really make this photo pop a little bit more, I can add some more texture. I can add some more clarity. And I can bump up the dehaze. All right. And let's see if I got any weird stuff happening in the background, because I don't want that. Let it synchronize. There we go. Okay. We're looking at the details here on the bottom. We got some good details on it, good clarity. We're okay. We're all right. Cool. Okay. Now, time to, actually one other thing, I might bump up my exposure a little bit. There we go. Okay. Now, another thing I want to do is I want to use some radial filters. So, top right side right here, click on my radial filter, and I want to drop a mask or a filter right over my fireworks. All right, so I want to drop the highlights a little bit, but bring up the exposure. I want to dehaze it a little. See, getting rid of that smoke. You see there's some smoke in between? I'm trying to black that out as much as I can without making the photo look too weird. And then maybe my contrast, I could bring up my contrast a little bit. Okay, see how that smoke kind of just disappeared? Looking pretty cool. Look, it's looking good. It's looking good. I like the way it's looking. All right, and maybe bring up the exposure just a tad bit more. Clicking OK. I think we're all right. Look at the colors. We got some nice details. We got some really nice details. All right, so what I would do now to take this into Photoshop, before I take it into Photoshop actually, it does need a little bit of a crop. There's too much of the sky revealed over here on this side, and we don't like this thing here. We can remove a lot of the stuff in Photoshop, but that's not what this vlog is about right now. So this is how to edit like a pro, and we're not gonna sit there for hours in Photoshop. So I'm gonna click on my crop tool real quick. I wanna post this to Instagram. So I'm going to make this not a 5x7. No, let's make it a 4x6 crop and drop it down from here. This way we get rid of this little area on the corner. So we got rid of this little fence. I was on a rooftop here when I shot this. And then we crop it from this angle, not too much because I don't want to cut off this corner right here. You got to watch your corners when you're cropping. You definitely have to watch your corners. Maybe we'll drop it a little bit more here just to center the burj as much as possible without cropping the top. And we don't want to get too close to the top. And right there is good. All right. So now normally what I would do here is I would take this photo into Photoshop and clean up the front a little bit more. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to jump into another photo, clean that one up, and then take that one into Photoshop. This way you can see a little bit more, because the next photo I have is daylight. So this photo is pretty much done. It needs a little bit more tweaking, but for the most part, This photo is ready to go. What I would do in Photoshop, just to let you know, I would clean up these lines. I would remove these lines right here. See these hoses? I would remove this right here. All these little weird details that don't look nice. Give it a nice, smooth, clean image. Cool. Moving on. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna highlight these two, and we're gonna do a side-by-side comparison. All right, so first thing, let's zoom into the fireworks. Okay, so when I zoom into the fireworks, you notice something here real quick. Still trying to catch up. Come on, it's still loading. But you can see immediately that you got in the center of the fireworks some overexposure going on. All right, you got some blown out highlights. We recovered those highlights. We got some nice, beautiful colors all around. All right, and then if we scroll down, look at that. Look at that. So over here, oops, come on, there we go. Okay, so we're able to see a lot more detail on the bottom here. So we recovered a lot of those details. All right, coming back out. And the image overall looks a lot cleaner. It looks really, really nice. Now this is cropped, this is not cropped, but you could see the difference in colors. You see the vibrance, you see what's going on with it. I'm happy with this image, and I think I'm gonna stick with it. Cool. Moving on to the next photo. All right, this is a fun one. This is Burj Khalifa, and we're gonna do the same exact thing. Now I got a little shortcut, guys. I got a little shortcut that I'm gonna teach you guys. So all the settings that you saw me do below tone curve, I already created for myself as a preset because that's how I like to start my photos. So I called it stage 1. All right, stage 1, there's SPT-BB. These are just my own initials, so they let me know what they are. And SPT, split toning, pink, blue, split toning, blue, blue. This is just my personal preferences and my styles. So here I'm gonna go with stage 1, SPT-PB. I named this myself. I created this myself, and the way you would create it is all the presets that you have here on the bottom, once you line them up and you're happy with where they are, all you gotta do is click the plus sign on a preset, name it, and save it in there, and you got yourself a fast startup. At least you could start yourself up. Kickstart, save some time. All right, so we're using the SPT-PB, and then now we can go straight to editing on the top. Hit that auto button like I was telling you guys. See what, that's overexposed. That's horrible. All right, so we're gonna fix that right now. And the way we're gonna fix that, first thing I wanna do is I wanna drop the exposure. All right, I wanna drop those highlights. I wanna drop my whites. I wanna bring up my black. So you guys following, if I'm going too fast, please just pause, rewind, pause, rewind. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to balance out the exposure to make it look nice and even, and then I start filling in the actual colors. All right, so again, we dropped the exposure level on the top. All right, bump it up a little bit more. Contrast, maybe I'll drop the contrast to -20. My highlights. So the highlights are very important to bring down because when they're in the center or up, they're blown out. So you can't see those clouds. We want to bring those clouds to life, and you'll start seeing them coming to life in a minute. Shadows, we want to bring up those shadows. We might dial them down later on, but right now we're going to bring them up. All right, and then the whites, and here, we'll just darken it a little bit. Okay, we're getting there. We are getting there. Bump up the vibrance and bump up the saturation. Okay, so now we go down to split toning. I want to get that color that I actually saw with my eyes. It was a beautiful, beautiful sunset. I took this for New Year's. So this is before New Year's. So this is at 25 right now. My highlights and the saturation. So I'm gonna bring those up. Really bring those up to about, we don't want it to look fake. It was a beautiful sunset. So we're gonna say 35 for now. And what we might do with the shadows is we might also drop those down to, the hue would be on 0, saturation, which is gonna give me that orangey pinkish look. And that's the look I'm going for right now. And the saturation, we're gonna keep it at 15. All right, coming back up, messing with my white balance. I need to warm up the tones. This was a sunset. It was a beautiful golden sunset. Look at that. It's really coming to life now. It's really starting to look good. All right, my tint, adjust my tint towards my pinks. Bring that up a little bit. All right, and now contrast can go either way. There are people that love contrast and saturation. I personally don't. However, sometimes if it fits, I add it in there. So if I bring up the contrast, it doesn't really give me that nice, soft, dreamy look that I'm looking for. So I'm gonna bring the contrast back down, and I'm gonna bring it to 15. Bringing it to 15. Now we're gonna do something else. Now we're gonna use what's called graduated filter. So on the top right side, looks like a vertical rectangle. Click on that. Click from the top, drag down. So now this is a graduated filter to where it only affects the part that I highlight in segments instead of wiping the whole thing out. It's only applied in segments. So if I want to bring up my exposure in the sky, if I want to drop my highlights, up, it's a little too low. Okay, if I want to add my blacks, some more shadows, give it a little bit more higher in the temperature, bring that temperature slightly up a little bit more. Dehaze. Dehaze is sometimes a friend, sometimes an enemy, sometimes a foe. So you just got to know how to use it though. A little bit of clarity and a little bit of texture. It's coming to life, guys. It is coming to life, coming to life. Okay. We're not quite done yet. We're going to use radial filters. All right, so these are the tips and tricks. If you guys want to edit like a pro, you need to learn how to use all these tools to take you to the next level, because this is how basically you're editing your photo in sections for the world to see. And that's what you want to do. Take the radial filter. I have clouds here. These clouds are streaking. They're epic. They're beautiful. So I need to bring them out. And what I might do is I might just bring them out piece by piece. So here I got a radial filter. Drop it to the right. Okay. Bring it up slightly. Okay. And you guys watch what I'm doing here. We'll bring up the contrast. All right, playing with the exposure slightly, ever so slightly. Soft touches, dropping the whites, clarity, texture again, some dehaze. All right, and then, let's fix that was too much the temperature there. Okay, color. So I need to bring back some more color into it. There was more of that sunny glow. It's a little too much. We just want to put a tad bit into it. Not too much. And we're gonna bring out the shadows more. Okay, contrast. So we play back and forth with it until we get it right. All right. We almost got it where we want it. Just the blacks are a little too strong on it. So I'm going to bring up the blacks a little bit. Now, if we like that, we duplicate that layer. So that was a quick trick right there. If you like how that's looking, if you want to make it stronger, give it more of an impact, you can duplicate the layer. When you duplicate the layer though, look what happens, your oranges get a little too strong. So on the second layer, you may want to turn off those colors, or else it'll look too weird. All right, and to save time, I duplicate it one more time. And I bring it to this side, and we start working on this side. But now since I already did the work, I don't have to do everything again. All right, bringing it out. You guys are seeing what I'm doing there, just bringing those details into the sky. Dehaze, again, is a friend and an enemy at the same time. You really got to be careful with it. Duplicate that, and if it looks good, keep it. If not, move it. I think I'm gonna keep that one there. Add another layer, but bring it down to the bottom. Now, if you bring it to the bottom, it looks like you ruined the shot because we got some exposure issues on the bottom here. So we just bring it down towards that sun. Drop the highlights down. See, we're able to do all of this, guys, because we shot in RAW. That's why you always want to shoot in RAW. Drop the highlights down. Pick up the temperature, because that's where the sun actually hit. That's where the set. That's where the glow came in from. And we are going to give it a little bit more of a dehaze. Drop the exposure on it slightly and drop the whites on it a little bit. Okay, we're getting some, it's looking good. It's looking good. It is looking good. Now, I'm going to do something that's going to probably annoy you guys and make you wonder what the heck is he doing. We're going to do one more radial filter. And this one is going to go, it's going to be a big one. And this is going to be a little touch. So we've got a huge radial filter that takes up maybe 90% of the image, 70 to 80% of the image. Slightly bring up the exposure. Temperature, exposure, until I feel like the glow is right. So I want to add that nice, powerful glow. I don't want to burn the highlights too much. Drop down the whites, bring up the exposure. All right, and now, see what happens? If I take it away, it's darker. Bring it back on. So again, guys, I'm editing the photo piece by piece, area by area, section by section, because these lenses, which is these eyes, are way stronger than the lenses on my camera. They were able to bring in so many colors, and I was able to see something really, really beautiful. Capturing that, bringing that back to the office, editing the photo to try to bring it to the level that my eyes saw when I was there. All right. For the most part, we're done. This still needs some more work, but for the sake of time, we mostly got everything that we want on it. Okay, we mostly got everything done. And now what we would do, this area here is needs a little bit more work. So I would adjust my highlights and whites just for your reference, guys. This is what I would work on a little bit more. But now we're gonna bring this into Photoshop. So to bring it into Photoshop, and I'm gonna tell you why in a minute. Oh, actually, we missed one step. Now we got a little bit, this building's crooked. It's crooked, it's crooked, it's crooked. So we got a couple of options here. We could either hit auto, and we have to recrop, which we don't mind, we can do that. Or we can use the alignment tool. Using the alignment tool is to straighten out a building. Drop one stick here. Go to the opposite side of the building here, drop another stick there. And boom, just like that, your photo is perfectly straight. You use the alignment tool to do it. All right, I think we're good. Now, I'm not gonna crop yet. I'm not gonna do my 4x5 crop for Instagram. I'm gonna take it right into Photoshop. So I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna hit Edit in Photoshop. Okay, it's in Photoshop. So in Photoshop, I don't want to do too much in Photoshop. I only brought it into Photoshop to clean up those cranes. So there's some big cranes in the distance. They don't look too good. So I'm going to click here, which is already clicked on. And this is the Spot Healing Brush tool. All right, and what I want to do is I'm going to hit Command plus. All right, and that's going to take me all the way in. And I'm going to reduce the size. And I'm going to start removing those cranes. Look at that. Look at that, look at that, look at that. All right, so we're gonna clean this up right here. Oh, you introduce something new that we don't want. Just keep working on it. You can undo a couple of times and then do it again. Okay, Command Z to undo. And we're good there. Needs a little bit more cleaning up, but I'm doing a fast cleanup here, guys. So, shrinking that down again. Sorry, one more time. Boom. Okay. Sometimes you need a couple shots to do it. All right, and then basically what you do, guys, is you keep working on it until you completely remove all the stuff that does not look good or that you feel does not belong there. And that's it, see? So I'm not gonna I could spend all day cleaning this up, but I wanted to show you why I would bring it into Photoshop. It's not, there are a few things that I do with Photoshop. I don't usually replace moons and suns. Sometimes I do it for fun every once in a while, but that's not the kind of photography that I do. So I just use Photoshop mainly for cleaning up, and it is a good cleanup tool. All right, and then after that, so this is not a perfectly done shot, but we're just gonna keep it the way it is now. We're gonna hit Command S, and when we hit Command S, go back into Photoshop, you're gonna see something, into Lightroom, boom, they're gone. It created another photo for you here, and they are gone. See, look, boom, we're done. And just to show you the before and after, let's see, highlight both, hit C. All right, so raw file. And by the way, when you go into Photoshop and you drop it right back into Lightroom, it turns it into a TIFF file. Still raw, still high, amazing. But look at the difference. Look how we got one completely raw, completely flat image to another full of vibrance and color. Well, I hope you like what we learned. I hope you guys learned something new. Appreciate you tagging along, and looks like we took a little bit, took longer than I wanted to take, but I hope you learned something from it. Thanks for tagging along, guys, really appreciate it. Guys, if you could do me a favor, a big favor. Number one, if you want to see what most of my images look like, you can go to Instagram at TG from Dubai. I think over here is where I'll put it, TG from Dubai. Go here, check me out, hit follow, really appreciate it. And if you did like this video and you want to see more videos like this, please comment in the comment section down below. Give me a subscribe, tap that bell, and I would be grateful. It makes a big difference when you hit a like. It just really makes a difference. Keeps us going. All right, guys, appreciate it. Thanks for tagging along. Catch you on the next one.